The Plus package contains those project files that you're going to want to use in order to make changes to the series title or maybe a change to a line or two in the bumper. So I'm going to go through these really quickly to show you how they're structured and how to make quick edits if you need to. Now, on our tutorials page there we go into much more an in-depth look at each one of these. So we spend a lot more time in Photoshop on these two and spend a lot more time in After Effects going through how we've structured the projects and how to make edits. And even a lot of projects contains a custom tutorial that is great for you to walk through step by step for that particular project. But for now, this is just a really quick overview. So let's go into the project files folder. I'm going to go into the Photoshop folder and the brand folder. I'm going to start there. So I want to edit this brand. So I'm going to double click on this PSD. But actually, before I do that, you're going to want to install those fonts that are on this help file. So open up this PDF and you can click on these buttons and that will take you to links to where you can download these fonts. So install these first before we jump in. And if you need help on installing some fonts, then check out that tutorial on our page as well. But let's jump into the Photoshop file, the brand, and I'm going to double click on this here to open it up. So once your project is open, you should see something very similar to this, and all of them should have a very similar layout here. And what we're really going to focus on here is the text folder, and here you can see that it's labeled red, so that means this is where you want to spend your time editing. So I'm just going to go through how to edit the text. If you want to go through and change colors and stuff, I'm going to leave that up to you as far as going into the different folders. But this is where you're going to want to spend the time editing the text. So let's say I want to change this to, till death do us part or something like that. So I'm going to hit T on my keyboard and I'm going to click right on top of that text, or I can even find the layer, click on that layer, and then I can select it a lot easier. And then I can type in the word that I want. I can go up here and I can type in, I can click on where it says for right here in my layer, and now that's ready for me to select. I'm going to change this to till, and then I can make this right here do us. And I go into a deeper look of how to change this box around and move it around. For now, I'm just going to quickly change it, but check out the other tutorials as far as editing some of the basics of Photoshop and manipulating these types of shapes. And then we'll change this to part. There we go. And we can change the tagline as well by just clicking and highlighting and changing that text. So that is how you would go into Photoshop, and this is how they're all built. They should be labeled some type of red or say text here, and that's where you're going to want to jump in and change all of your text. Then you would just go up to File and Save As and select the format as a JPEG, and then you have a brand new brand ready for your series. Okay, so that's the basics of the brand. Let's go look at really quickly the screen media folder. So I'm going to open up the full screen PSD here. And again, if you need a little bit more in depth as far as how to manipulate these things, then check out those other tutorials and they'll be very helpful for you. So inside of the full screen PSD, you have two different folders that you can go in and edit. So right now we're looking at the name slate here. And again, it's just a simple text layer. So I can go in and click on the pastor name. I can click here and I can change this to be whatever we want it to be. Okay, then I can also change the size here. And I go in again, I go into more detail about how to move these around and make these bigger and all that. So check out the other tutorial. And then you have the scripture folder, and this is nicely laid out. All the colors are right. It has a nice little shadow on the text. And again, all of our projects are built the same way. You should have this layout here, and this is basic text layer. So you can click here, hit Command A or Control A, and select all of your text and paste in the scripture that you need, and then go in and change the scripture reference down here if you need to. And then if you have multiple scripture slides that you need, you can take this folder and hit Command J and duplicate that, and now you can go on to your next section and turn these off and turn them on and save those as JPEGs, and now you have a nice organized structure here for all your scriptures that you need. So that is the basics of the full screen. Let's take a look really quickly at the name slate. So I'm going to open up this, and inside of here you have again two different ones. You have the name slate, which is the smaller version right here, as well as the scripture slate, and that's a very big one that you can use for several lines of text. So let's take a look really quickly at the name slate. Let's say I want to change this to be something different, so I'm going to click in here and type in a name. Okay, And then I'm going to slide this down a little bit. And I'm going to change the text here. I'm just going to put my name for now. All right. So the problem with this is you can see that maybe your text is a little too long or it's not quite working right. But all of ours are built most likely with some type of clipping mask where you can just grab the layers and move them nice and easy. So let's do that right now. I'm going to click on this nameslate folder and I'm going to hit V on the keyboard so I get my move tool. And I can just click and drag my layer down. And it's pretty long. It should give you a lot of runway for making different lower thirds. So I'm just going to make this about right there. Then I can grab my background or where my my smaller lower third is right there. I could even take that entire thing and slide it down as well by just clicking on those layers, holding down shift to select them, and then slide them down to where they match. So very easy to use, and I go in much more detail in the editing the screen media folder, but check that out if you're still confused. So inside of the scripture slate, again, it's very simple. You can hit T on the keyboard and just select the text that you want, highlight it, and paste in what you need or type it in. And you can also make these a lot smaller. So if you don't need something so big, you can click on this nameslate folder here, hit V on the keyboard for your move tool, and hold down shift and slide this down if you want a nice smaller one. Or you can get about as big as that there, or make it a little bit smaller like that by just simply moving it around. So it's very easy to use, very easy to edit. And for any type of lower thirds where you want this transparent background, be sure that you go to File and Save As, and for the format options, select the PNG option right there, and that will create your transparent background. Just make sure you don't have anything else back here. Okay, so that covers the screen media folder. Inside the social media folder, I won't go into this one. This is just a Photoshop file that is the exact same as the actual brand, but it's just a square version of that. So you make all your edits the same way. Or you can take your Photoshop file here and resize it to be a square if you need it to be. Okay, let's spend some time in After Effects really quickly. So I'm going to go into the After Effects folder, and I'm going to open up 2017, because that's my latest version, but whatever version you're using, you can open that up right here. Now that your project is open, you probably see something very similar to this. You have a final render, and this is going to contain all of your what you see in the video here, as well as the audio. And then you have about four folders over here that will contain all the pieces that you need. And this is in your project manager window. You have the assets. This is going to contain all the little bits and pieces that make this up. So maybe some textures and different pre-comps and some of the Photoshop layers. You have your final render folder, which is what you're looking at right there. And the text folder is where we're going to spend most of our time. Then you have the working compositions folder, and this can be built in several different ways. It's all up to the designer, but maybe it's broken down into scenes. But this is where a lot of maybe the nuts and bolts will start appearing as you go deeper and deeper into this project. But for now, we're just going to focus on the text. So I'm going to open up that folder, and inside of here, you're going to have a bunch of different text pre-comps, and this is where you're going to make your changes to the text. So let's look really quickly at the logo text. I'm going to go into this folder here, and I can change I can add a text layer to make the changes in here. Or what's also really convenient in some projects, and you may want to check on the custom tutorial for this, but on some, if they contain layers such as these Photoshop files, a lot of times you can go into the Photoshop file. So if I were to save this brand right now, it would update inside of After Effects, and my new brand would appear automatically as I opened it. So that's an option for some projects. If not, there should be a text layer here, and this is where you can go in and just type in your text. So I can hit Command T and click on that, highlight it, and type it in. So if we were to rename the new brand and I go to the final render comp here, it will update that layer right there. There you can see it is. Okay, so let's go really quickly into some of these other layers just really fast to show you how they work. These are usually all built with just a text layer to where there's hardly any animation. If there is, you can easily work your way around it, but you want to focus on this text layer. And again, you're just clicking your text tool, going over here and clicking on the text, and can highlight it and change it to whatever you need it to be. And all of that will eventually update inside of the final render, which is happening right here. So if you need more information on any of that, then let us know, or you can take a look at the editing the projects in After Effects tutorial, and we'll spend a little bit more time going through what that means and how to render and all that good stuff. So check that out. Let me see if there's anything else to cover before we leave. I don't believe that should cover everything. If you have any questions, then be sure to just go to our contact page, send us a quick message, and we will do our best to get back to you as soon as we can and get you on your way. So thank you for checking us out, and if you have any questions, let us know.